everybody, it's Lori here today to talk about my Q1, I can't believe it's already at the end of Q1, reading stats. So today we're going to talk about my stats and the different feelings that I have on some of my favorites over Q1. As you know, I feel like I had a great first 3 months of the year with my reading. I have some really great books and found some new favorites, some new favorite authors. So I want to share all of that with you. Perhaps I can recommend some new books for you, some new authors for you to try. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So we're looking at my quarterly stats in terms of the genres that I have read in the first 3 months of the year. The largest percentage is not really a surprise to me. I have typically been a mystery reader for most of my life, I will say. And so that doesn't surprise me. I have read a total of 24.6% in the cozy mystery category, 19% in the mystery category. We have fantasy, which is 14%. Thriller, 15.8. Had some children's, historical fiction, starting to read some romance books, so you'll see those pop in. Science fiction, some fiction, and horror. I'm trying to kind of dip my toe into some of the genres that I haven't really read that much in the past, so you'll see a little bit more of those upcoming. But I think that's pretty good, and it's pretty typical for me, I would say. In the past, I probably read a lot more mysteries and not really, dip my toe into fantasy or horror as much. Those have usually been a little bit of outliers for me, so I'm happy to have been trying them, and what I have read so far, I have really enjoyed. So more to come, I'm sure, on those. I read a surprising 51 books in Q1, or the first quarter of the year. Very excited about that. Not that it's a competition or I feel like I need to read a certain amount. I just love reading. Out of those 51 books, I had 15 5 stars, which I think is incredible. I really found some great books. Recommendations, of course, here on YouTube that I have picked up and given a try. And they have been fabulous. I'm so excited. Found some really great authors, some new series that I want to dive into, and some series that I'm going to definitely continue. Some of the highlights for me are the Chronicles of St. Mary series from Jodi Taylor. That first book was just one damn thing after another. And I started with that one in the series. It's book 1. I would recommend if you're interested in it. It's great. Don't tell them, but they are kind of time travelers. So if you're interested in a lot of action, hijinks, you just never know what they're going to get into. And if there's any problem that could go wrong, it happens. They do find their way out of it, but sometimes things do really go wrong. And so it's not just a happiness and sunshine all of the time. It's a really good series. I have really enjoyed it. The characters are amazing, world building. I always want to see where they're going to travel to next. So I highly recommend, if you haven't picked up that series, grab that first book, dive in. Might find yourself just reading through it in one sitting, like I think I did, and I've loved it so far. I am on book 4 at the moment of that series and can't wait to continue. There's also another series that goes along with it. I was looking into it, but based on the description, I'm thinking I need to wait a little while to read it to catch up with some of the other books, as I don't think I'm at a spot in the books yet where I should know what's happening with that second series. I also found Leigh Bardugo for the first time this year. I know I'm really behind. You guys, I'm catching up. I'm catching up with all of these. I fell into Ninth House and loved it. I will say, if you are reading it for the first time like I did, it's a little difficult at first. It's a darker kind of book, both atmospherically and the tone of it. And there's a lot of things going on that don't make a lot of sense in the beginning. And I'm sure that's done on purpose because our main character, Alex Stern, doesn't know what's going on either. She finds herself at Yale doing things that she never thought she would be doing. And she doesn't understand what's going on. And that's kind of how I felt when I first started reading through the book. There are 2 books in the series so far. I think it's going to be a trilogy. I'm hoping for more, but I think at this point it's slated to be a trilogy. There are 2 books out, Ninth House and Hellbent. If you haven't picked them up, I highly recommend. Both both of them. So both of them are on my list of 5-star books and potential for favorite books of the year. Both of them. They were fantastic. If you haven't tried these books, I would definitely give it a try. Maybe pick it up from your local library. See if it's for you. Absolutely loved it so much that I bought both of those hard copies for myself to keep on my shelves. And as you guys know, my shelves are small. So yeah, surprisingly enough, I had 3 5-star romance reads on my list, which was very surprising to me because I haven't really typically been a romance reader in the past, but I think I'm kind of finding my niche, what I really enjoy. I do kind of like the trope of enemies to lovers, so that was kind of working for me here. Of the 3, I would say my favorite was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. It really kind of played out a little bit differently than I thought it would. I'm always trying to make predictions. In my mind, I shouldn't do that, but I think it's all the years of reading mystery novels has kind of done that to my brain. And I was trying to make some predictions and it didn't go exactly the way that I thought it would. And so it was surprising. It was good. I enjoyed it. I liked her main character and her sister as well as her love interest. So it was really, really good. And I'm looking forward to the next book by Emily Henry, which I do have on hold in my library. I believe it just came out. I'll pop it up here. And I'm like 8th in line. So I am chomping at the bit to get to reading that one based on my experience with her. I did try to read, is it People We Meet on Vacation or something? Wasn't really for me, and I might go back. I was on the high of reading Book Lovers, and it didn't scratch that itch that I had left over from Book Lovers, so I might go back and read it at some point. It's definitely not the same. So don't do like me. If you loved Book Lovers and want something exactly like it, it's not going to be the same type of read, but I loved it. If you haven't picked it up, definitely highly recommend. If you're not like a super romance reader like I wasn't, great way to dip your toe in and give the romance genre a try. Speaking of giving something a try, if you're looking to get into some cozy mysteries, I have a couple of 5-star recommendations based on what I read in the first part of the year. I don't typically give cozy mysteries a 5-star just because I give them an average rating, usually a 3 or 4-star, which is still great ratings. But I don't know, it has to be truly unique or something that really spoke to me and contained all of the elements that I was looking for in order to give it a 5-star. So I'm a little bit pickier, I would say, probably because I've been reading them for so many years. But I would definitely highly recommend Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander. I tried a couple of different series by her this year and really enjoyed both of them. The other was Death on Tap, which was the first book in the Sloane Krause mystery series. Really enjoyed that one as well. I think I gave it a 4.5 star as well. The only reason I knocked that one down is because I knew who had committed the murder pretty early on. I will say in Meet Your Baker, I did not know who the killer ultimately was going to be. I loved it. There are recipes in the book, which is a criteria for me as well. Not a criteria for everybody, but I love having some recipes in my cozies because in cozies, you typically see a lot of really great food being described. And then your mouth waters and you're like, wow, I really want to make that. And then there's no recipe. Have I made a lot of the items for the recipes in cozy books? No, but I need to start doing that a little bit more. They all sound amazing, and I love when I see recipes in the book. Highly recommend the Meet Your Baker series. I'm going to be reading the second book upcoming in the next couple of weeks, I want to say. So I'm really excited. It's a long-running series. I don't know, is there like 12 or 13 books? I'm not sure. Quite a few. So if you're looking for a new long-running series in the cozy mystery genre, that might be one to pick up. If you're interested in something a little bit different, you're interested in beer making, the Sloane Krause mysteries by the same author might be right up your alley. Another cozy mystery, which, you know, I kind of go back and forth sometimes with cozies. Sometimes they just edge the line, you know, they're like teetering on the line. I would say really this is a cozy mystery just based on all of the elements that you typically find. It is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Sutanto. I loved this book so much. I will be picking up a paperback version of it to keep on my shelf because I can see myself wanting to reread it. I don't think it's supposed to be a series, which bums me out, perhaps with how well it's doing and the great reviews and rave reviews, truly, that it's receiving. Maybe the author will continue writing this series. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. I loved it. If you're interested in found families, or that's something that you have found that you like in the past, this one definitely had that. We had a of course, had a mystery. We had a dead body. We have a meddling amateur sleuth that thinks that she knows better than the police. She is just so cute. I don't know. At first, I was like, oh no, is she going to be annoying? Oh no. She seems like she's interfering with everything that's going on. And she is, but she just has such a lovable way about her, wanting to take care of everybody. And truly, I feel for her because she's just looking to find her place in the world. She owns a tea shop. She literally has one customer and that's it. Her husband has passed away. Her son is grown, has his own career. He hasn't married or given her any grandchildren yet. And so she's really kind of lost. She doesn't really know what to do with this stage in her life. And when a dead body shows up in her tea room, it kind of catapults her into this investigation where she meets all of these people that she kind of takes under her wing. They are kind of lost like she is. And she finds a way to make this found family scenario while solving the mystery as well. I thought the ending was really good. I was worried as to what direction it would take because I loved all of these characters. I highly recommend you run and pick up this book if you're interested in cozy mysteries at all, or even mysteries. I think this is a really great way to start off in the genre where it's not totally like the typical, you have a cozy that typically follows a formula. It does, but it's written in such a really good way that I think it has mass appeal, and I highly recommend, if you haven't picked up this book, run it and grab it. It is definitely in the running for sure for favorite books of the year, 100%. And speaking of which, there's another book. I think I'm seeing a theme here. I like found family scenarios. At least I do at this point. I don't want to overdo it and just, have every book that I'm reading have that kind of scenario in it. The other book that is in the running, definitely, there are a few of them, but in this type of trope, we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. I just love this one as well. I just got the warm, squishy, marshmallowy feelings that I get from reading some books. I got it from this, as well as the Vera Wong book. They are both so lovely and beautiful with the relationships between the characters. Everything comes together where you realize that you're not alone in the world and that there are other people that need you as much as you need them. It is just such a beautiful series. I know so many people have talked about the premise of it. A witch who has been raised on her own, who has been told that you can't have witches together because of the overwhelming power that it might create. So she's just really lonely. She also is trying to find her way in the world, doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. She wants to be around people that are like her, but is told that she can't. So when she gets a job offer to be a teacher for 3 young witches, she's not sure what to do. She's like, well, am I going to be violating some witch's code? What should I do? And so she decides to take the job, and it just unfurls this beautiful story, found family, relationships, and it surprised me. It really did. Loved it. Heartwarming. Laughed, cried, the whole scenario. I will also be picking up a copy of this for my shelves and will definitely be rereading it. I recommend that book or Vera Wong's if you're going through a reading slump or you're falling into one, not really sure what to pick up. Both of those, highly recommend. Run, go get them. 2 thumbs up, definitely. I had a few mysteries on here that really surprised me. I had Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Caine. I read that very early on in the year and need to dive into the second book. I think it's Kilman Creek. The book was incredibly fast moving. The pace was incredible. If you're looking for something that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, second guessing what's going to happen, who you can trust, who you can't trust, what you're going to do, what this main character was going to do. It was incredible. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was worried for her the whole time. And I'm like, okay. And I know in my head, there are 5 books in this series. I'm like, could they be starting with somebody else in the second book? I don't know. I was really worried for her safety and sanity. Truly, it, like I said, kept me on the edge of my seat. There are 5 books in this series. The author has since passed away, which is very, I don't know, it's hard for me knowing that sometimes because I'm like, when I'm done with the series, I'm done. I don't know. Any of you do that too? We're kind of like, you take your time with it and aren't in a rush to read them because you know there's going to be no more. It's difficult for me sometimes when that happens. I tend to love series, so Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been pushing it too hard, but I really do need to read that second book. I'm excited to dive back in, see what's going on in that world, but definitely 5 stars. There is a second book in this, I can't believe it's a series, The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I'm not as eager to jump into that one. This was bananas. This I was second guessing myself the entire time. I was like, I'm a terrible mystery reader. I could not figure out what was happening. So I was surprised throughout. If you really want a suspenseful thriller, basically, that has you guessing and second guessing yourself and your abilities to solve what's happening, then I would highly recommend picking it up. I'm just not sure the way that the book unfolded that I'm ready for the second book. I'm not saying that I'll never read it. I just don't know that I'm ready for it now. I might be in the mood for it upcoming, so we'll see. But yeah, that was crazy bananas, wackadoodle. Highly recommend, 5-star. Kept me on the edge of my seat and definitely didn't want to put it down. Didn't want to go to bed and be an adult, all of those things. So maybe pick it up and read it on a weekend if you have some, hey, if it's, a rainy weekend and you're not sure what to do, that might be a really great book to pick up and lose yourself in for a weekend. I also had the book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I'm not really sure totally why this resonated with me as much as it did, but I really enjoyed it, and it did keep me guessing. I felt like there were some kind of spooky horror elements also. Got me some spine-tingling chills going on as part of it. We had 2 main characters, and following a dual timeline where we're looking back, we had a potential female serial killer and the true crime blogger that's trying to solve a cold case from back in the day and figure out, did she or didn't she commit these crimes? It really did have me second guessing, and so I enjoyed that. I liked the different perspectives from both of them. I was really like, okay. I didn't know what was happening or what was going on. So if you want to be kept, guessing, not sure how a mystery is going to play out, and don't mind some like spooky, creepy house elements along with it, I would recommend picking up that book. I'm looking forward to more books by Simone St. James. That was the first book that I've tried from her. So let me know in the comments section down below if you've read any of her books, what you would recommend that I pick up next. Speaking of creepy horror elements, I have bumped this up because I can't help but thinking about this book, and I've watched some reviews, some YouTube reviews as well, where people are saying the same thing. This is living rent-free in my head, and so I had to bump it up. There was no other way. I feel like if a book really stays with me, especially with reading as many books as I have so far this year, I have to give it its due. That book is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Loved that book. Yes, definitely it's moving into the 5-star category. I'm not going to downgrade books, but I may upgrade them. You'll see that. Maybe. I mean, this could be the only one of the year. We'll see. But I had to put this up in my ratings because of how much it has really stuck with me. This is definitely a creepy house story, haunted house story with puppets. If puppets really creep you out, if you were up at night and couldn't sleep over Chucky or Annabelle, this might not be the book for you, but Chucky always kind of amused me. I'm not really sure why. I was scared by Gremlins back in the day. I mean, I'm old, but if you've ever watched the original Gremlin movies, which would probably be really hokey now, they did terrify me back in the day. I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, they never die. What is going on? So, I don't know, but Chucky didn't really scare me as much. I haven't watched Annabelle. I don't know that I want to. In any case, this book just made me laugh. It was a campy sort of horror, and I loved it. He wrote it so well, and the relationship between Mark and Louise was incredible. You have this whole dynamic of family trauma and the secrets that we keep from ourselves, from even our family members, the people that we love, and this, the lies that we tell ourselves over the years to make things a little bit easier on ourselves. We might have trauma in our lives and we just don't know how to deal with them. So our brain comes up with these different scenarios that aren't quite right, or memories that we've kind of, softened quite a bit or changed. and family retellings of stories have kind of changed the narrative in our own minds. So there was a lot of that interdimensional family trauma and secrets. There was a lot going on, but in the best possible way. I did not want to put this book down. This one might be one that I need to add to my shelves. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's a book that I can see myself consistently rereading, but knowing how it all kind of plays out, perhaps I might want to go back and reread it in the future. I recommend it. It wasn't, like I said, if you're not super creeped out by Chucky, you might want to pick this up. It's a good way to kind of try the horror genre without a lot of, you know, jump scares, blood, guts, and gore. I thought it was a lot of fun. If you're interested in campy horror, definitely pick this up. I can't wait to read all of the books by Grady Hendrix. Go ahead and tell me what you recommend down below. There are a couple of books that I'm definitely interested in picking up by him, so can't wait to share my thoughts on those, but highly recommend picking that book up. And the last two books are part of a series that I know is much beloved. I could be the last person in the history of the planet that has tried these. But if not, I'm going to give you my recommendation that you need to go out and pick those up and read them. They're a little bit of an emotional read, I would say. I don't want to use the word tough, but it's emotional, I would say. It is the Wayward Children series by Seanan McQuire. I'm not sure why it hits me so emotionally, perhaps because I'm a mother, I have 2 grown children, but I just feel for these kids. And so I'm looking at it from that sense. This is a fantasy series where children basically go through portals into other worlds because of things that they're dealing with in their current circumstances. So these worlds kind of, I don't know if they so much suck them in or kind of draw them in, maybe is a better word. They kind of have their experience there, and a lot of times, well, the 2 books that I have read so far, the kids get spit out back into our world and have to now kind of try to cope with that and figure out how they're going to live with this knowledge that the portals were out there. A lot of times these kids want to be back in their portal worlds. They don't want to live here. Of course, they were gone for a period of time and their parents are like, what the heck happened? Were you kidnapped? Did you run away? They don't believe them because, I mean, it's just fantastical and doesn't make any sense to an adult brain that these portals would be there. And they do cover kind of heavy topics from what I have seen so far, but I absolutely love them. Both of them are 5-star. Well, I'm sure there'll be a book or maybe 2 on my favorite books of the year list. I am sure, just based on what I am seeing so far. I love it. They're just so immersive. They're not super long either, so I don't feel like Seanan McQuire felt compelled to add another like 125 pages just to make it a larger novel, which I love. I mean, every single word seems to matter on the pages. I will be picking up this series for my collection for sure. These are definitely easy rereads, and I could see why I would need to go back and reread some of them. There's just so much in there. They're very dense, complex, but yet so easy to read. I think they're very, very rereadable. Highly recommend. If you haven't tried them, don't wait another second. Do yourself a favor. Pick those up. Like I said, they're an easy read in terms of they're not, 500-800 pages, but they're dense, they're complex, there's a lot of information in them, and they can be emotional, but definitely recommend. So those are my highest rated books for Q1. As you can see, I am definitely falling headfirst into the fantasy genre. We had quite a few 5-star fantasy reads, which really surprises me. 3 5-star romance reads, which also really surprises me. I know that, like I said, cozy mysteries tend to fall between the 3 to 4 range. Pickier just because I've read so many of them, and maybe that's not the best way to be, but for myself, I still can highly recommend a series, even if I don't give it a 5-star. I very rarely find a cozy mystery that I rate below a 3-star just because I love the genre so much. Highly recommend. I will link my videos down below for the reading vlogs that I have done so far this year. If you're interested in hearing about any of the books that I have read so far in the first 3 months of the year, I will put those down below so you can catch up with my thoughts. I will be doing a cozy mystery Q1 wrap up as well, so look forward to that upcoming. I hope you decide to stick around, subscribe down below, give me a like if this is the kind of content you are interested in, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.